Hey guys, in this video I want to talk specifically about the chances and the risks of Firefish for investors. So as an investor, you provide money to to the borrower. Firefish is a peer-to-peer platform, so it is just matching borrower and investors, and you go onto the Firefish platform and then you select a credit with the interest rate where you think that's a good interest rate, and it's mostly around 10%. So you invest, for example, 10,000 euro into a loan with 10% with a duration of 1 year, and then after 1 year you get the interest in a lump sum back, so you get 11,000 euro back. And the chances are obviously 10% is roughly the interest rate which you will get. It's a free market, so the interest rate are really changing all the time, and sometimes it's lower for 8%, sometimes it's higher, 11, 12%. It depends on the loan volume. A higher loan volume tends to get a little better interest rate, and the duration is also a factor. The longer the duration, the higher the interest rate. That's also mostly the case. And you can do it in euro, in dollar, in stable coins, in Swiss franc, and in Czech krone. That are the fiat currency which you can invest in. And the main benefit, of course, it's you have for very short-term investments relatively high interest rates, and that's much more competitive with other investments which are kind of comparable. I always like to say, like a government bond with a duration of 1 year is comparable with a Firefish investment of 1 year, and the government bonds are returning mostly between 2% and 4% or 5%, depending also on the default risk and the default risk of this specific government. Of course, the USA is more like a secure government with a good rating and has therefore less default risk and less interest. But still, Firefish has a much higher interest normally, and so that's the main benefit. You get just a lot of interest for short-term investments, which a lot of people looking for at the moment, or in general. And the thing is also, there is no, compared to other investments, even like some countries like with a very bad rating, they can go bankrupt. But on Firefish, your credit cannot default because it's over collateralized with Bitcoin. So there is no classical default risk. And but what are the risks? Because at the moment it seems for a lot of people too good to be true. So there is a platform risk. You have to trust the Firefish platform and the company behind it, that they press the right button to send, in case there is like that your borrower doesn't pay back the money, that they send you his Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin is locked in a multi-sig escrow, and Firefish doesn't have access to this multi-sig escrow, so they cannot steal the collateral. That's really good. But you have to trust them that if the borrower doesn't pay back the 11,000 euro, the principal and the interest, that the platform then sends you the money, and you don't have like a default. And at the moment, every credit was executed as planned. So there have been some borrowers which didn't pay back, but the investors just got their Bitcoin. So they had also no default. And there is a high incentive that the platform does the right thing, because then the customers are happy and they attract more customers and they make more money. They have a really transparent business model. The borrower has to pay 1.5% fee on the credit volume. And that's how the platform makes money. That means more people come onto the platform, more money is generated for Firefish. And there is, of course, another risk that Firefish goes completely dark. Imagine like a bomb drops down on the Firefish headquarter and everybody dies, and for some reason the platform completely disappears. Then the investor has to hope that the borrower still pays the money back even though the platform is down. And the thing is, after 1 month after the credit, the borrower can get their collateral back. So if nothing happens and 1 month after the credit, they can claim their collateral back. So that's more like the risk is more on the investor side. So the the investor has to go to the borrower and say, please pay my money back. And if he doesn't do it, then you have to go the legal way. You have to sue the borrower, you have his name and his bank account, and then you can use this information to try to sue him, because legally it's your money. He should pay you back the money. And he is in a little bit a better position because he can get his collateral, and that's important to understand. Even if Firefish is down, he can have the collateral, and because he has just to wait 1 month and then he can claim it and do a transaction and get it. So that are the risks that are more like black swan risks, which are, in my opinion, more unlikely, but that are the risks. And the next risk is, you as an investor, you can decide how much you want to trust Firefish. And I would recommend, of course, you take some self-responsibility and don't trust the platform too much. So you can use your own Bitcoin address as a liquidation address. So in case that the borrower doesn't pay back the money, his Bitcoin will get liquidated. And if you put in your own address, that is, that you will see that in the menu when you set up the contract, then you can see that there is a field where you can put in your Bitcoin address, and it should be the right address. So put your right Bitcoin address, check it carefully, and then when the Bitcoin is liquidated, it goes directly to your Bitcoin address. And that's really good, so you don't have to trust Firefish anymore. And what is also nice, there is a liquidation premium of 5%. You get even more money back than your principal and your interest plus 5%. That's like a fine for the borrower, and should cover the costs of liquidation also. And if you don't want to put in your own Bitcoin address, then the Bitcoin is sent to a service partner of Firefish, and then there the Bitcoin is liquidated and sold, and you can then get sent euro on your bank account, or US dollar, or a stable coin, or or Swiss franc, or Czech krone. And here is important, if you don't put your own Bitcoin address, you also trust the service partner that he is doing the right thing, because they could also claim the money for themselves for some reasons. So you have just more trust in them, and that's more risk on you. So to summarize, the chances are the interest rates for a quick investment period, which are really competitive compared to other investments. For example, an ETF returns around 6% per year, and on Firefish you get in most cases more than 6%, and you don't have the volatility of an ETF, because in an ETF you have to wait in general at least 6 years that you are sure that you are positive with your investment, because it's so volatile. And by Firefish, you don't have volatility, you just have a fixed amount which you get after the loan maturity. And that's the biggest advantage. And especially for really risk-averse, short-term oriented investors, that's really attractive. And the biggest risks are that you have to trust the platform to a certain degree, and therefore I made also a lot of videos about the risks, and I did also an interview with the head of sales of Firefish and asked him about risks, and we had the discussions. And yeah, just be aware of it, be conscious about it, and then you can make a fundamental and or a good decision based on fundamentals. And that's it. So if you want to support my educational work, you can use my discount code in the video descriptions. And that's no financial advice, I'm just an educator, and I wish you a nice evening. See you.